This is Dennis Raimondi here with the Coffee League. My guest today, Lauren Fink. She is the owner of Cherry Coffee in New Orleans, Louisiana. I have to say, I went on an extensive road trip with my wife. We went from the Midwest down to Miami and back, and visited about, I don't know, 40 or 50 cafes, and stopped in New Orleans. Great coffee city, great coffee culture, some fabulous places there, and I loved Cherry Coffee. Loved the cafe. Was hoping to meet Lauren. She wasn't in when I popped in, but I thought got to get her on the show and talk to her. Also wanted to mention, Lauren, that there was a woman, a barista, I can't remember her name, at Spitfire, and telling her what we were doing with the series, and she said, I said, any people in town that are good and passionate about coffee? And she said, you have to speak to the owner of Cherry Coffee, and that's you. So thank you so very
That's
much for,
awesome.
for taking the time to speak with me today.
Absolutely.
Great,
Happy to do it.
great. So when I was there, you had a pop up like in a delicatessen that I went to, and then I also went to your main cafe. Aren't you opening another one, I believe?
Correct. Yeah. So we started out 5 years ago, which is crazy to say out loud,
Hmm.
inside of a Jewish deli. As you
Hmm.
said, we were a pop up.
That's where I was.
Um,
Yeah.
th- yeah, we haven't, like when I moved here, there wasn't anywhere to get coffee
Hmm.
um, on that level. And so came from Portland and I really missed drinking amazing coffees. So I
Right.
was working in coffee in Portland and I knew I could help. Uh, when I moved here, there was all chicory and French roast.
Right.
So I wanted to raise awareness and just show people what else was out there. And the reaction that I got was really amazing. So 3 years later, we opened our brick and mortar location, which is what you went to, the Firehouse Uptown at
Hmm.
Laurel and Upperline. And yeah, so we launched a Kickstarter a year after we opened that for our roasting operations. And we raised $25,000. And a year later, here I am. We're moving out of the pop-up into the second location, which is 4 blocks from the original
Hmm.
location. Um, and yeah, we're opening as Cherry Coffee Roasters, and the
Wow.
reaction and the support from the city of people here has been really awesome and great. So
Now let's back up to Portland. I had my first great coffee experience in Portland about 7 or 8 years ago. Where did you work there? Where are you originally from? Portland?
no, I grew up in Wisconsin, so
Okay.
yeah. But I worked at Blend Coffee Lounge. This was in 2006. I moved
Right.
there. And then I worked at Extracto and the Ready Cafe. But it wasn't until I opened inside of Stein's as a pop up that I really was able to explore and become better, a better barista. It's trial and error and kind of doing your own thing and not listening to what everybody else says. That's how you can really find how I found balance and optimal sweetness and
Right.
extraction.
That's probably good advice for any business. Now, so at Cherry, you both you roast there as well. You produce you source and roast there as well as just being a,
What
a cafe.
Right. Well, I'm renting a studio, a little roasting studio. It's kind of a cool setup. It's an old elementary school that my landlord rented out, and he rents out the classrooms to different artists. So I got the old boiler room. So it's a 200 square foot room, and I have a 1.5 kilo roaster that I roasted about 1,000 pounds of coffee on before it was producing good coffee. But yeah, we just released it about 2 months ago. So.
And is there a website or somewhere people can go to find out if they're not in New Orleans and they want to buy your coffee? Where do they go?
CherryEspresso.com.
Cherryespresso.com. I want to.
Yes,
This
we
is a.
have.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we haven't released the online store yet, but that should be coming out in a couple of
Hmm.
months.
Yeah, and I have to say, I mean, I drink a lot of coffee. I visit a lot of places. Your place really was outstanding, and there were a number of really good places in New Orleans. The coffee culture is developing there, and actually developed and continuing to grow. And obviously, you're the person that brought it in there. And it's interesting. I just interviewed Kenneth Nye, who was the first person to open a specialty coffee shop in New York City, Ninth Street Espresso, and for years there were just a few places. Now there's a zillion. And here's my
Right.
question. So you come from Portland, you really know what it is, third wave coffee, specialty coffee. Come to a place like New Orleans, fabulous city, very sophisticated in music, art, in every way, but really not up to snuff coffee wise. And there's a lot of places that are still like that, way behind the curve, way behind New Orleans. You open up this pop up in Steins, Delhi. How do you get people interested in third wave coffee? Was it people that experienced it elsewhere? How did you get a following so that you could develop a business?
Great question. I honestly, so I nerded out on extraction, and there is something really magical that happens with a perfectly balanced espresso, and it takes a lot of determined effort and constant striving to keep that in that range, but people can notice. And so the reaction was great. I mean, I was really blowing people's mind because, like I said, they were used to like the low tones and no acidity and very one-dimensional coffees. And so they would be getting espressos and Americanos, and they would come up to me and they would be like, "That is insane. Like, what did you do to that coffee to make it taste like that?" And I got to share my enthusiasm and my passion, and that is what really spread.
Now, when you started, when you were getting this reaction, was most of that reaction from young people, from old people, from middle age? Did it come from all levels, or was it mostly from
All levels.
millennials?
Like, that's why I really loved going into being a part of Steins, is because I was reaching people that normally wouldn't go out and seek specialty coffee, you know? So it was all sorts of people. It was really great. Yeah.
I want to say to our listeners, just if there's a little wind or background noise, it's
Oh,
because
sorry about that.
Lauren is, no, it's no problem. We can hear you clearly, is hard at work. She's at her cafe, and the only quiet place in a cafe sometimes is outside. So that's where she is right now. So when you, one of the things that I've noticed, and like I said, I go to dozens of cafes all over every month, visiting places and traveling a lot. And one of the problems that a lot of cafes have, especially like smaller operations, is inconsistency from barista to barista. You'll go in a place, great beans, great equipment, one barista, fabulous at extracting coffee, making the coffee drink. Others burning the milk, not doing as well. Now, when I went to Cherry, I went to the pop up. It's fabulous. That motivated me. Actually, we were driving out of town. I said, we got to go there. I don't care if we miss a flight or whatever. We got to go over to Cherry. So we went over, and we actually no, we were driving, but we were late, and so we rushed over there, and so I had an experience with two or three of your baristas, and they were all really good. And I'm wondering if you have a strong training program, because that's the thing I think that's lacking from a lot of cafes, a strong training program so that you have a consistency amongst the baristas.
Absolutely. Yeah. So our training program is extensive. We have one philosophy, that's the Cherry philosophy. We have one common palate. So oftentimes you are working and you're not going to be on bar for at least 3 months. That is just because confidence is key in being a barista. And I really find it's important to make sure that I give you the tools that you need in order to make the educated decisions to get you to where you want to go. So I feel like my training program is concise and it's easily understandable. I've been trained by a lot of people, especially very well-known people in Portland, and I walked away not fully understanding it. So a lot of it's kind of vague, but the approach that I have is really scientific. And yeah, so
What are some of the principles? What are some of the principles you follow when you train baristas?
Well, okay, so we always dose at 18 grams. The only
Right.
variable that we change is our the grind, right?
Mhm.
So we figure out how long we want the coffee in contact with water, and then we play around with the volume. Playing around with that volume, it's where you find that balanced shot of optimal sweetness. And usually it's about a 5-gram window within that beverage mass.
Mhm.
So it's really training people about what balance is, because I didn't
Mhm.
understand what that was for so long. It's really raising awareness on channeling and checking your pucks and not serving things that you
Mhm.
channeled on. And I mean, we're human, so we're not perfect all the time, and things happen, you channel, but it's about catching it and not serving those things.
Mhm.
So Our waste is rather high, but we only serve the best.
Hmm. And certainly I had that experience there, and look forward to coming back to New Orleans. It is a great city. I had never been to New Orleans before. My wife had been there. It's a great city, and in so much to offer. Friendly people, and just and now wonderful coffee. Now a barista. Part of what they do, a big part is producing coffee, serving coffee. Another big part of it is their interaction with the customers and how they are, and that's what develops a coffee culture. What do you look for in your baristas in regard to their interactions with the public?
I honestly, being in New Orleans, it's hard to. It takes a little while to teach people about hospitality, and there's a difference between hospitality and service. I don't want this to be where you go up and it's just counter service. We really try to make experience for people, and that's how we get them to come back, and that's how we get them really interested in drinking coffee unadulterated, because that's really what we're going for. We go out of our way to source the best coffees, and we go out of our way to find extreme balance. And once you put a bunch of milk in that, it kind of takes away the nostalgia of that, and we're no different than the other coffee shop down the road. So what we try to do is try to just wean people off of that without them even knowing, or making them feel like they don't know what's going on, So, and you do that through kindness and enthusiasm. So.
Right. And do you what percentage of orders there are pour over, for instance? Do you have a lot
Most
of
of our
people?
drinks,
Yeah.
yeah, well, we are known for our espresso. So we sell a lot of espresso
Mhm.
flights and beverage flights, which is a single origin espresso and a blend macchiato. But our signature beverage is a Stella. So it's so hot in New Orleans. If you get an iced Americano here and you go outside, it melts into nothing, right? So
Right.
what we've done is we chill it, strain it. So it's an iced Americano with equal parts water to espresso served up.
Mhm.
And that upholds the integrity of strength of the drink. And it really opens things up so that people who maybe aren't so used to having that intense concentrated beverage, it really helps them appreciate the subtleties and be able to pick up on them.
Mhm. What machine do you use? What espresso machine do you have there?
We have a Linea,
Hmm.
La Marzocco, great workhorse.
Hmm. Hey, we just interviewed Joe Montagna, I think his name is. He's the president and owner of La Marzocco in the U.S. There's a lot of great machines produced now, and I guess it's just it's like great cars or whatever, just what you like and what you get used to. So you're opening a new place. What are some of the challenges? 'Cause a lot of people listening in are people in the business. A lot of them aren't. But once you decide, okay, I'm going to expand. I have a pop up. I have this location. I'm going to go another location. What are some of the challenges and things that you have to concern yourself with to do that and to maintain the quality that you currently have?
Just like what you said, it's about finding the right people who will really carry the intention of Cherry through when I'm not there, because I'm roasting coffee. So I need to trust that the folks that come in are going to have that same experience, that why I opened Cherry. I mean, we really want to make a difference in the industry. I don't just want to sell vanilla lattes, We're
Right.
trying to raise awareness on just fine coffees and get people excited and really appreciate them for what they are.
Mhm. And
So,
when you now that you're roasting and you'll have your own product out and all, will you still carry other brands of coffee?
good question. So our second location is Cherry Coffee Roasters. So I'm roasting on a 1.5 kilo roaster, like I said.
Hmm.
So that's a lot of batches, right, for 2 cafes. So we're going to keep the Laurel Street location kind of a multi-roaster program until I get a bigger roaster and I'm able to do that capacity, because we have partnering accounts and it's getting big quickly. There's a lot of
Right.
people that are really interested in it, and I kind of have to say no a lot because there's not enough hours in a day.
Right, right, right. I know that you were carrying Hart, Kuma, Madcap, some other really great beans there, and you'll continue to do that. You're saying that,
Yes, at the Uptown location.
right?
Until yes. till the capacity, till I can get a bigger roaster.
Great. And then where do you see yourself going with this? Do you see yourself opening more and more cafes, or more expanding the roasting side of it, and selling online and having subscription
Right.
customers and that sort of thing?
Cafes are hard because,
Right.
like you said, it's hard to maintain that experience. And so our main focus right now is the roasting side of things and partnering with people and giving them the confidence and the training that they need to really make a difference, because their success is our success,
Right.
And so that's really my focus currently.
Right. Lauren, what end of the business do you enjoy the most?
I love being a barista. I love connecting with people, and I love really trying to make a difference in what I'm trying to do, And so I get that making coffee and creating that experience for people to give them the space to get excited about things. And I mean, I hosted cuppings once every week, and the turnout from that of people who are just like, wow, this chick is so into this, let me go check it out, was really awesome, because you would think it would be all coffee people, but it was a lot of neighborhood people, a lot of people who were just interested in it. There's really nothing. There was nothing like that here,
Right.
So
Right. Well, one of the things that I'm picking up on now, and I've heard about you, is this passion you have for coffee, and I feel the same thing. There's something special about coffee itself. Actually, yesterday I interviewed a guy out in Encinitas, California, who's a roaster. He has a roasting company, Bedfellows, and he was Mark Beauregard, Beauregard, and he was going on and on about the spiritual component of coffee and the ritual involved in it, and so it's more than just serving, like, hey, we're serving Coca-Cola here. There's something special about coffee, and I'm just curious, with you and your daily routine, what is your coffee consumption habit?
I love espresso.
Hmm.
So I don't have a machine at home, so I go and I'm at the cafes all the time.
Right.
So yeah, I also like Chemex. It's
Hmm.
that nice morning ritual. I have a hand grinder there at my house that it helps me slow down. Honestly, I'm going, going, going constantly. So having that one thing that I do for myself in the morning that
Right.
kind of makes me slow down and really appreciate things is really awesome.
Right.
So,
It's funny you say that, because many people have that ritual, especially in the morning, to slow down and really experience the day. I do that, but I also, sounds funny, but late in the evening before I go to bed, I take the time and I'm just with myself, and I usually use a Chemex or an AeroPress, and I make myself some coffee. And people always say it's caffeinated. Yeah, it doesn't seem to, for me anyway. Everybody's different. Some people can't drink coffee after 3 in the afternoon, but for me, it has no
right.
impact in terms of keeping me up. But it's always one of the happiest parts of the day, because it's that time alone, and it also perks you up in a good way. Did you notice? Is there a big difference now between the type of customers you got in Portland and the type of customers you get in New Orleans? And in that, I don't mean so much. Obviously, the Portland people have been experiencing, especially coffee, longer, but the coffee culture itself as it exists, not only in your cafe but in New Orleans compared to Portland.
I found that the coffee community here is much more supportive of one another.
Hmm.
It's less talking down on each other, and it's more like we're really happy to be doing this together. There's no one shop, there's no one person can make it the difference, like a group of people. So we've really come together, and yeah, we're supportive of each other,
Hmm.
which I've noticed is the main difference. Aside from the customers that come in here are people of all different age groups, which in Portland I didn't really see a whole lot of that. It was kind of just like, let's say 20 to 32, but I
Right,
get a
right,
lot of people, like an
right.
older crowd that comes in here that just love, they really love the experience of it and just exploring what else is out there.
Right.
So,
Another question I had for you. I just had a woman on from an organization called Barista Connect. They just had a big. She's from Michaela Gervard. She's from Copenhagen, Denmark, but they have a great with Coffee Collective. It's a great coffee culture there. And there was a conference in Melbourne, Australia, I believe, and it was women in coffee and some of the challenges they face, and really dealing with those issues and whatnot. have you found that any special challenges you've had in terms of, because a lot of times people think of a barista as some guy with a beard and tattoos, and they have sort of a
Right.
stereotypical. Are the attitudes now in the coffee industry supportive? Have you had any problems or challenges in that area? And is there a difference, say, in Portland to New Orleans?
I have had zero challenges. I think that it's really
Great.
funny because a lot of men,
Mhm.
they are like, when I tell them I'm the owner, they're like, really? Very shocked. But
Yeah.
it tickles me pink, quite honestly.
Uh-huh.
But no, people are so supportive. I have never felt any different, you know. I mean, I'm just out there doing my thing. I'm just like any other person. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily want any attention directed my way just because I'm a female
Right.
doing this. You know,
Right.
I think a
Right.
lot of people, I just went back to the Midwest and they were like, wow, it's so amazing that these young women are doing these things these days. And it's like, it's actually pretty normal.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
we're just humans who found something that they love to do
Great.
and have dedicated their life to that. So,
Great. And a couple of other things I wanted to ask you, or have you, and that is, I have people listening in that are real coffee nerds, and then other people that this is all new to them, and maybe they're out, they've been going to Starbucks or whatever, and they're thinking, they've heard about specialty coffee, and they want to make their coffee palates more, refined, become more sophisticated. It's like somebody who's had nothing but table wine their whole life now wants to get into more sophisticated wines, and in coffee, the single origin and all. What advice would you give them? How should they pursue that? How can they experience coffee in a more refined, more fuller way?
take out everything that everybody told you what you thought you should know about it and just go into it with curiosity. And
Hmm.
coffee is the best teacher. Uh, Coffee gives you clues if you are paying attention, and it goes incongruent to that slowing down. And just be curious, you know.
And should
That's
they
my
try
another thing.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Uh, as far as palate development goes, one of the things that we like to do with our new hires, we taste food consciously.
Hmm.
And so that's another thing that you can do. And then cup coffees afterwards and really try to understand how we're pulling these flavors out.
Explain what cup for people that might not know. What does it mean to cup coffee?
A coffee cupping is a traditional practice of taste, pretty much. It's essentially cowboy coffee, but it's a tradition that it, they do it for scoring the coffee, they do it for roasting the coffee, but on our end, we do it as far as like a teaching tool.
Hmm.
When you cup coffees side by side, you're really able to tell the difference in them. Because a lot of people are like, I can't taste the difference in coffees. But when you have it side by side, there's a real comparison that people can do, and then it's eye-opening for folks.
Hmm. Great. Well, thank you so much, Lauren, and wish you continued success. And if you're in New Orleans, it's a great coffee culture. There's many places there now, but go to Cherry Coffee. The one I went to is on Magazine Street. And another one will be opening soon. And I also want to say you did a fabulous job in terms of the exterior and interior design of your cafe. It's really striking from the outside, the colors you chose, and you see the word cherry there. Where did the word cherry come from in naming your shop, your cafe?
The intention was really to just raise awareness on coffee, right? So a lot of people don't realize that coffee is
Is it
actually the seed of a fruit called the
right?
coffee cherry.
Right. Oh,
And that was, yeah, my first way of teaching people a little bit about coffee.
great. Well, good luck to you. Continued success, and we'll keep on our blog. We'll keep people posted about where to go. We'll have Cherry Coffee there address and all the information about it. And Lauren, good luck to you, and we'll be seeing your coffee all over as you roast and develop that end of the business.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you for coming on.